Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are jumping into a debate that's about 2,000 years old, and it all revolves around a holy mix-up. It's this incredible logical puzzle that actually gets at a timeless question. What in the world do you do when two really important rules smash right into each other?
Seriously, just think about it for a minute. Let's say you're doing laundry. You've got a pile of towels that needs a hot wash, and you've got another pile of delicate stuff that absolutely must be washed on cold. But, whoops, a few things get mixed in together. So, what setting do you choose? It's a surprisingly tough call, isn't it?
Well, that exact kind of problem, just with stakes that are a little bit higher than your favorite sweater, is at the very heart of an ancient text called the Talmud. Now, the Talmud is a foundational work in Jewish law, but it's not really a rule book. It's more like a transcript of these super intense debates about the logic behind the rules. And today, we're going to witness one of its most fascinating logical showdowns.
Okay, so let's set the stage. Our puzzle here comes from the Mishnah, which is one of the oldest layers of the Talmud, and it all kicks off with a classic case of a sacred, holy mix-up.
So, the Mishnah paints this picture of a scenario at the ancient temple in Jerusalem. You've got two completely different types of sacred offerings. One's called a guilt offering, the other a peace offering, and they accidentally get mixed together. And this is a huge problem because each one has its own very specific and very different set of rules about how you're supposed to handle it. And believe me, these rules could not be more different. The guilt offering is super strict. It can only be handled in one specific spot, eaten only by male priests, and it has to be consumed within just 1 day. The peace offering, on the other hand, is way more lenient on all counts. So, when they're all mixed up, which set of rules do you possibly follow?
So, faced with this total mess, the ancient sages came up with two completely different solutions. And this sets up a classic debate, really, a face-off between pragmatism and principle.
So the first solution comes from a sage named Rabbi Shimon, and his approach is pure pragmatism. He basically says, look, this is easy. Just treat the whole mixture as if it's the more restrictive guilt offering. It's a clean, simple, straightforward solution that makes sure no rules get broken by accident. But other rabbis totally disagreed. They argued from a place of pure principle. They said, you can't just slap stricter rules onto the peace offering. And why not? Because you're actually reducing its holy status. For example, by cutting its eating time from 2 days down to 1. In their view, you'd be making a holy item invalid before its time.
So here you have it, the core conflict, right there. On one side, you've got Rabbi Shimon, the pragmatist, with his simple, direct fix. And on the other, you've got the rabbis, the purists. Their solution is way more complicated. They say you have to wait for the animals to get some kind of flaw and then just start all over. But it perfectly protects the unique holiness of each individual offering.
But the debate doesn't just stop there. I mean, this is the Talmud, after all. Later scholars, they weren't satisfied with this. They wanted to find a single, consistent principle that could explain Rabbi Shimon's whole pragmatic approach. What was the deep logic driving his thinking?
So a later scholar named Rabbah comes along, and he proposes this really fascinating theory. He suggests, hey, maybe Rabbi Shimon's practical solution is only for situations that have already gone wrong. It's a fix, you see, not a feature.
In other words, Rabbah's theory is that Rabbi Shimon isn't just giving people a green light to mix things up whenever they feel like it. No, he's just providing a practical solution for an accident that's already happened. But to do this intentionally, from the start, Rabbah argues Rabbi Shimon would never, ever permit that.
Okay, now this is where the Talmudic analysis really shines. Another scholar, Abaye, steps into the ring, and he starts to cross-examine Rabbah's neat and tidy theory. He's about to stress test it with a whole series of challenging cases.
Abai pretty much looks at Rabbah's elegant theory and says, hold on a minute, does that really work? And then he starts digging up several other rulings where Rabbi Shimon seems to do the exact opposite. Cases where he does appear to allow intentionally mixing items and applying stricter rules right from the get-go.
So first, Abai brings up a case about teruma, this type of holy spice offering for priests. Adding these spices to meat intentionally adds restrictions to it. Rabbah kind of tries to brush us off, saying it's just a minor rule. But then Abai hits him with a second case, this one involving holy money, that follows the exact same logic. And to this, Rabbah is silent. He's got no response. And there it is, the first crack in the theory.
And just as Rabbah's theory is starting to wobble, another scholar, Rav Yosef, comes in and delivers what seems to be the final blow. He brings up a case about cooking vegetables grown during the sabbatical year. That's a year when the land has to rest, in holy teruma oil this special oil that's set aside just for priests.
Now, the key issue here is all about time. See, the sabbatical vegetables have a strict deadline. They have to be used up. But the holy oil doesn't have a deadline. So when you cook them together, the oil suddenly gets the vegetable's expiration date. And here is the absolute killer point. Rabbi Shimon explicitly allows this intentional mixture. This isn't an accident, and it's a direct challenge to Rabbah's entire after-the-fact theory. So, this final case, it leads to the absolute showdown of the entire argument. It's the point where Rabbah's theory that Rabbi Shimon only rules on accidents, it seems like it's about to completely fall apart. The Talmud even explores a possible way out. Well, what if you can just squeeze the oil back out of the vegetables? But this just creates a logical trap. See, if you squeeze really hard, you destroy the sabbatical produce, and that's forbidden. But if you only squeeze a little bit, well, they're still mixed. There's just no good answer here, which seems to prove the mixture had to have been permitted intentionally from the very beginning. And that leads us right here. This is the number of loopholes left. The number of ways Rabbah's simple, elegant theory can still be correct. It's 0. The relentless stress testing by Abaye and Rav Yosef has shown that the reality of Rabbi Shimon's rulings is just way too complex for one simple explanation. So, after that incredible logical workout, it's pretty easy to ask, who won? Was Rabbah right or was Abaye right? But you know what? Maybe that's the wrong question entirely. The real takeaway here isn't about whether Rabbah or Abaye won the debate. It's about witnessing this incredible, rigorous, analytical method. The whole goal is to push an idea to its absolute breaking point, to see where its true boundaries really are. The journey of the argument itself is what refines everyone's understanding.
And so, this ancient puzzle leaves us with a question that really we all still face today. When you're confronted with a messy problem, do you go for the simple, practical fix, even if it might compromise a principle? Or do you stick to the pure, principled path, even if it's way, way harder? It's that timeless choice between being a pragmatist and being a purist.